and make a choice to persist, to endure, to never give in. By the way, there is a version of Christianity that makes it around in America. It has, sometimes referred to as the prosperity gospel. And the basic gist, the basic idea is that if you entrust your life to God, problems will begin to disappear. Now, there are a lot of problems with this approach. First of all, it doesn't work very well in Haiti. But maybe more importantly, it doesn't square with a single page of Scripture, because the Scripture tells us exactly the opposite. Over and over again, here's what it tells us. If you become a person of faith, problems will increase. Increase. Think about it for a second. Abraham, an elderly gentleman who was doing fine. He was wealthy. His family had its problems, but it was big. Everyone was taking care of him until God came along and revealed himself to Abraham and said, okay, I want you to pick everything up and I want you to move. Abraham said, okay, where? He said, just move. I'll say stop. So he does. And the problems begin. Abraham had already come to terms with the fact that in his old age, at 100 years old, he didn't have a son. And then God begins to mess things up and gives him a son, which is good. Until God says, I want you to take it up on the mountain, I want you to sacrifice him. Before God, Abraham, everything was kind of calm. Think about Moses. Moses had been adopted into Pharaoh's family as one of his own sons. I mean, this guy was living in clover until God shows up in a burning bush. And he says, Moses, I want you to go back to Pharaoh and tell him to let my people go. And Moses was like, oh no, all hell's going to break loose. And it did. Disowned, alienated, rejected. Moses spends the rest of his days in direct confrontation with history's greatest power to date. Even when he leads Israel out of Egypt, the problems don't stop, they get worse. These people complain and moan about everything, and they wander around in the desert for 40 years until Moses dies. Daniel. Probably even if you haven't been around church much, you remember the childhood story of Daniel in the lion's den. God delivered Daniel out of the lion's den. But maybe what you forget is the fact that God got him in the lion's den in the first dang place. Daniel was doing great. He was a foreigner in a strange land, but he was so gifted and so brilliant that he rose in the ranks, and politically, he was on the fast track. Until faith came into the issue. And then problems, man. Nothing but problems. Faith got him there. If you decide to entrust your life to God, I can promise you more problems. I'm pretty safe. I didn't know that when I signed on. I kind of had that thought that, okay, well, if I entrust my life to Jesus, then this stuff's going to start disappearing. It took a while for me to understand that God does not remove those problems. He changes my attitude in the midst of them. So if I don't develop persistence, endurance, the ability to survive, an attitude that's similar to the cockroach, I will fall into either stoicism, where I try and pretend I don't care, or cynicism, even worse, bitterness. Why me, God? Why is this happening to me? So the first question I have to you is, are you able to function at that first stage, survival? Are you a survivor? Are you able to look at problems in your life with reality and adapt to the circumstances? Because James says, when problems come, not if, when problems come. Calvin Coolidge, one of our past presidents, talked about this. He said it this way: nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. The slogan, "Press on," has solved and always will solve most of the problems of the human race. If you have a pulse, Tim Hansel writes in his excellent book, Eating Problems for Breakfast, if you have a pulse, you have problems. Whether those problems are as simple as a shoe coming apart or as complicated as a life coming apart, no one is unaffected by problems. Some problems simply aggravate us, while other problems hurt us deeply for many years. But problems are the litmus paper of human existence. Helen Hayes expressed it well when she said, "The toughest years in life are those between 10 and 70. It's true, isn't it? Before 10, you don't have a clue, and after 70, you just don't care. Problems are inevitable. And so James tells us we're going to have to develop endurance, persistence. I don't know what your current problems are. Maybe you're in a marriage that's really tough right now. By the way, to think you're going to be married and not go through those times is denial. How about a crummy job? How about foiled dreams in life? How about a health mountain that's difficult to climb? If you're going to survive problems in life, the first stage is you have to have the resolve to endure, to never give in. Now, as important as cockroach-like persistence is, it's not enough. If all you ever do is survive your problems, you're really not there yet, because after all, who wants to be a roach? Who wants to just survive? You know, if Darwin's right, the survival of the fittest, most of us go, who cares? I don't want to just survive. That's why when Jesus came, take a look at this in John chapter 10, verse 10. Jesus said, "I have come that they may have life and have it more abundantly." Not survival. That's not really what most of us are looking for. I don't care that a roach might be able to survive a nuclear holocaust. I can still crush it with my Doc Martens. Survival might get you through, and that's important. It is powerful when you see someone up against cancer that says, "I will not let this beat me. I will not give in." But folks, it's not enough. If we want to move from survive to the second level of problem solving, thrive, it's going to require a different attitude. Not just the attitude of endurance and persistence. It's going to require creativity. You see, thriving moves you beyond just surviving your problems into the realm of benefiting from them. Isn't that where you want to be? You don't just make it through. You go, no, these actually propelled me forward. Look with me at James chapter 1.